what gets measured gets done. And so if you want collaborative people, you got to teach it and you got to measure it. If you want kids to be able to speak eloquently about their solutions to complex problems, you have to give them complex problems and you have to measure and assess how they're doing in solving complex problems. The essence of what really drives this learning model is that all learning starts with not only content standards, but also what we would call 21st century skills or soft skills that are the foundation of all the projects that teachers build.
Teaching in traditional schooling now is that they're not focusing on these 21st century skills. They're focusing on, let's learn the content, let's get the letter grade. And these students are going out into the real world and they can't problem solve.
So if we're looking at a specific skill set like collaboration, like leadership, which is definitely a 21st century skill, it really starts on that first day. In many of the projects we do, like in Monkey Trial and Together We Stand that we're doing right now, the group leaders are elected by their peers, and then those leaders go and they form the groups. Because this is such a big project, we really want to make sure that we're giving you guys an accurate assessment here. In terms of assessment, one of the things that we do on a regular basis is try and take a look at what their work is in the draft process. Take a look at where they're going wrong before the final product is due. So kind of that ongoing assessment, which is so important in a project-based learning classroom. You need to write a draft of another article. Sit down, revise your first one based on the feedback that I've given you right now. Because I remember glancing at yours and try and rework it in a way that kind of gets at what I'm looking for. And it really helps that we do these little assessments throughout the project, that we don't just wait until the end, that we sit down with them and we look at the drafts.
That feedback then gets put into digital tools that allow people to access, students to access that information whenever they want to.
We try and keep everything as digital as possible, save paper, and because it organizes it for us. So this is a great way, even after I've graded, if I want to go back and take a look at what someone did and be like, you know, what did Aitana think about that project? What did she do well? What didn't she do well? What would she change next time?
It'll tell you, because a lot of time parents look at this too, what this grade means. Like for technology literacy, it says this grade reflects the student's demonstrated ability to use a variety of technology tools to improve the quality and efficiency of their own work. And then below that, it'll tell you how much weight that will have on your total grade.
All of that is then put into our online gradebook, grade portal, which really breaks out not just content literacy, that certainly is in there in each of the content areas, but also breaks out these global ready skills of collaboration, problem solving, and it allows them to see, you know, how am I doing across a broad set of performance standards.
It's got to be one of the greatest tools, and most probably people check the grade portal a lot more than they check the regular portal just to see how they're doing. But even if they don't notice it, students rely heavily on the grade portal and the learning outcome system to understand how they're doing in class.
The interesting thing was, if I had a B in a class, I could go to these outcomes and I could go to these other categories and I could say, okay, what can I do to make it an A? And I could say, oh look, you know, my critical thinking score is low. And I use that as an example because that wasn't always my best outcome in my grades. And I could say, okay, if I just increase my critical thinking score just a few more points, I could pull off that A.
Having it so they can go back in and see what their grade is and see comments. The comments are key. We won't answer a question from a student. If they come and ask us, why did I get this on that journal? Have you gone in and looked at your comments? No. Well, why don't you go in and take a look and then we can talk about it.
It allows the learner to really kind of take that information and say, I really want to get better at public presentation or problem solving. All of that then allows them to build their student-built digital professional portfolio, which is really a showcase of evidence of their attainment and their proficiency in not just, again, core content literacy, although that's important, but also in these very rich global skills that they're going to need to be you know, very competitive in this new world.
I mean, the biggest thing with this is just, it tells you so quickly, just do a really quick walkthrough, who's doing their work and who isn't.
They can go and see how they're doing in collaboration over 4 years, how are they doing in public presentation over 4 years. So it gives them this rich data set for them to kind of see, how did I do as a 9th grader, now how am I doing as a 10th grader, and how am I doing as an 11th grader.
It really is a great way to see like look back, because you don't notice what you're doing as you're going through the project, but if you look back, retrospect really helps to see, how you took charge, or if you took too much, and how to make it so you don't do that next time.
I'll walk into a freshman class, watch them do a project or a presentation, and they're standing up at the front of the class and it looks like they're about to faint and fall over because they're so scared. I go into a junior class and they're all over the place. They're walking around, they're engaging their audience, and they're just doing a fantastic job. And that's just a great example of how 4 years later you can develop the skill from what's almost nothing to this really amazing skill and these amazing abilities that not a lot of other people have.
Everything about this school is trying to get kids not only learning experiences and not only feedback, but give them the real assets so that they can be globally ready and ready for anything as they move off into the world.